Hi everybody. As we approach the end of the school season, everybody on an F1 visa has the same question. What's gonna happen after the graduation? Can I still stay in the US? Will I be able to work? What happens if I lose my job or if I cannot find a job? How can I continue to stay in the United States? I wanna congratulate every student who's graduating this summer, and if you're ready, I wanna talk to you about what you can do after your graduation. Let's start. Graduating as an international student is a huge milestone, but what can you do after graduation? But it also comes with a big question. What happens next if you're on an F1 visa? Can you stay in the US? Will you be able to work? What if you don't have a job offer yet? Don't worry, I'll try to explain everything in this video. Hi, my name is Remzi Kulen. I'm an immigration attorney with over 20 years of experience. I've helped many students design their paths after graduation, either by opening their own businesses or by being sponsored by US employers. I'm here to help you. I'll try to explain you the difference between CPT, OPT, and STEM OPT, H1B Professional Worker Visa, E1 Treaty Trader Visa, E2 Treaty Investor Visa, O1 Extraordinary Ability Visa, and also the PERM green card application. I'll also touch upon how you can continue staying in the US with your current F1 status. So let's first talk about the CPT and the OPT and the STEM OPT extension. CPT is curricular practical training. This is the work authorization you get while you're going to school. Once you graduate, you can only do OPT. There's no CPT anymore. And the typical OPT is for 1 year, and there's a specific time period to apply for it. You can either apply 90 days before the end of your school program or 60 days after your school ends. This timeline is very specific, and if you miss this deadline, USCIS will certainly deny your OPT application. You need to be very careful about this. Once your OPT is approved, USCIS will send you a 1-year valid employment authorization document. Within that 1 year, you can work for a US employer. You can also get your social security number if you don't have one. It is important to note that the OPT work must be aligned with your F1 studies. You need to report to the school which company you are going to work for and what you will do for that company. It is a common misconception that the F1 OPT must be a paid job. It doesn't have to be paid. You can be a volunteer. The most important thing is the work that you will do must be related to your F1 studies. So your OPT work must be related to your F1 studies, and this is what you should report in the CV system. What happens if you cannot find a job or if you lose your job within the OPT period? You are allowed a maximum period of 90 days to be unemployed in your OPT term. Let's say you couldn't find a job for 90 days, or the time that you were laid off is more than 90 days, then you will lose your OPT status. Let's not forget that the OPT job does not have to be paid. So you can as well volunteer for a company that aligns with your studies to keep your OPT work permit. There's also the OPT STEM extension, which is my favorite hidden gem in the United States immigration system. If you have graduated from a STEM field, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, you will be allowed an additional 2 years of work authorization under the STEM OPT extension program. You need to apply for the STEM OPT extension before your current OPT ends. Once you get the 2-year STEM OPT extension, you can only work for employers who are enrolled in E-Verify program. E-Verify is a US government program. It allows the US government to check the IDs of the people who are applying for a position at this registered company. The goal is for the US companies to employ only employment authorized people. If you are undocumented in the US, for example, the E-Verify program will not approve you as an employee. So the US government is telling these companies to get enrolled in the E-Verify program to be able to employ STEM OPT extension students. What if you don't have an OPT, or your OPT or STEM OPT is about to end? There is always the H1B option. H1B Specialty Occupation Professional Worker Visa is the most used worker visa in the United States. I will shoot another video for H1B specifically, but I just want to mention the basics of it. There has to be a US employer who is offering you the job. The job has to require at a minimum a bachelor degree in a specific field, and you need to be able to get into the quota. Because the H1B is such a sought after visa, there's a lottery conducted every year. Every year at the beginning of March, there's an H1B lottery process where your company can register you, and if you're selected, you will be able to file your H1B application. Every year, 85,000 people are selected. 65,000 of this is called the regular cap, and the additional 20,000 is called the US Master cap, and it is reserved for US advanced degree holders. For a recent F1 graduate, the strategy usually is start working with an OPT, and if you are eligible, get the STEM OPT extension, and in the meantime, try the H1B quota every year in March so that you can get the H1B approved and you can continue working for that company. If you are on an OPT and if you're filing for an H1B, there usually is a gap between the OPT end time and the H1B early start date, which is October 1st of each year. The law allows for OPT holders to continue working for that company until the H1B is adjudicated. So if your H1B makes it to the quota, that means that your OPT work permit will be extended until the April 1st of next year to allow you to not to have a gap between your OPT end date and your H1B start date. There is also the E1 treaty trader or E2 treaty investor visa options. These visas are not for everyone. Your country of nationality must have a treaty agreement with the United States for you to be able to apply for an E1 or E2 visa. In the E1 visa, the concept is you are developing trade between your own country and the United States. In the E2 investor visa, the concept is you are investing to a company in the United States whereby you are creating employment opportunities for green card holders and US citizens. E1 and E2 are typically utilized by foreign students who have some connections in their home country about trade and investment with the United States. 1 year OPT or the additional 2-year STEM OPT extension is usually utilized to establish the company, to start the trade or investment, and by the end of the OPT time or the STEM OPT time, you are ready to file your E1 or E2 visa. We have done this many times in the past. There is also the O1 Extraordinary Ability Visa option. This is used very rarely because typically students are very young and they're not at the level where they can prove that they are extraordinary ability to be able to get the O1 at a very early age. However, some students have already a lot of experience before they come to US for their studies, and we can show their prior experience and extraordinary ability to be able to get their O1 visa. If an F1 student would like to continue his studies in the United States, it is also possible to get a new I-20 from a school, continue your F1 status. This usually happens when an associate degree holder graduates and would like to continue on a 4-year program, or a bachelor degree graduate would like to continue with a master program. I've even seen some students where they were a graduate of a master degree and they wanted to attend to a certificate program in a different area, again with F1 status. Finally, I'd like to talk about the PERM green card application. This is usually referred to as EB2 or EB3, but it's under PERM, meaning an employer must sponsor you for your green card application. As you know, a green card application by an employer does not allow you to stay in the United States because it doesn't give you status. But if you are somehow maintaining your status, for example, if you're going to school on an F1 status, if you have your own business on an E1 or E2, or if your company has already sponsored you with an H1B visa, or you are in OPT or STEM OPT period, then once a company sponsors you for a future position, you can continue to stay in the United States. The PERM application is for a future position, and that means that you will perform that job once you get the green card, meaning you do not have to be employed with that employer currently. It is a future job offer, and you will do that job once you get the green card. I'd like to give you a few examples on how we were able to manage immigration status of some of our past student clients. A client of mine graduated from school and he started working for a company in OPT status. The company wanted to sponsor him on an H1B visa. We filed the H1B application. And we registered the company on an H1B lottery. The company was selected. We filed the H1B application and his OPT was extended until the H1B was approved. So he was able to work for this company during his OPT time, and we were able to tie the end of the OPT program to the start of the H1B program, and there was no gap in employment. Another client started working for a company in the OPT status. We filed for an H1B. It was not selected in the quota. He continued working for this company in the STEM OPT extension, and we were able to get to the H1B quota in the second year. Once he got the H1B visa, he was able to work for the company after the STEM OPT extension ended, and at the end of 3 years, he was able to get the green card, where we utilized OPT, STEM OPT, H1, and green card applications for this client to be able to work for this US company. Another sample was an F1 student who set up his own company in his OPT period. He invested in his company and he started importing and distributing home textile products. By the end of 1 year on his OPT program, this company was already making money and employing US personnel. We were able to file an E2 visa application and get a 5-year E2 visa for this client. I've helped many students achieve their US goals. I've also helped many companies sponsor foreign students on various kinds of visas. Whether you're a student who would like to stay in the United States and achieve your American goal, or whether you are a US company who would like to hire foreign talent, you can reach out to us and explain your situation. We will find out what your needs are and we will make the best custom strategy for you. Please subscribe to my channel, please like the video, and if you have any questions, please go to the comment section below, drop a line, and I'll try to respond as much as I can. I hope to see you in my next video. Take care.